Hi guys, welcome to Visa Simply D Aluwalia once again. Guys, what we want to talk today about student visas. Not student visas. I more want to talk about the journey from a student visa to a permanent residency, and if you have your goals or your dreams where now I know a lot of students, you want to come here, you study, go back to your country, that's well and fine. But this video is specifically for those students who are thinking or planning to have a permanent residency in Australia. So, guys, these are the things which, in my view, are very, very critical when you are choosing your path, because it's very, very important you make some decisions. There are some fundamental decisions which you got to make in very start of your journey. And I'll tell you what, most of my clients, the students which come to me and they are in trouble, are the ones who have not made the right decisions, or at times what has happened is they did not have enough knowledge, they made the wrong decisions, or when they were coming from overseas, it was either their parents who chose the course for them, or it was the agent from whom they got to Australia, they chose the course for them, or the factors could be what the background, what they have, or what you have in the past that determines that what should you choose when you're coming to Australia. So you can, you can show a progressive pathway. But now once you are here and once you start understanding things, or basically it is because of the lack of knowledge. Now this is where I see these are few fundamental things. Now, okay, so see, this video is more about getting permanent residency and how you can get permanent residency when you are on a student visa. All right. So this is so it's more technical about this, what I want to produce to you. All right. So now, okay. So let's talk about it. First thing is, now if you want to have a metropolitan life, if you want to live in Sydney, Melbourne, and Brisbane, it's pretty straightforward. Your occupation have to be on a medium to long term list. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put on in the below of the video, I'm going to put a link with the government medium to long term list. If your occupation is not on medium to long term list, you're not getting settling down in Sydney, Melbourne, and Brisbane. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Other than if you find an Australian partner and apply for a partner visa, or and if you have a lot of money, then probably you would not listen to this video anyway. So these are the basic fund, the basic fund of this is, okay, so if you want to live in metropolitan cities, Sydney, Melbourne, or Brisbane, your occupation has to be choosing the right occupation. It's very critical. That's first thing. Now, there are a lot of benefits living in a regional area. We'll go there as well, and I'll explain you further in this video how that works and how. Now, when we talk about choosing the right occupation, it is also very much linked with your work experience. Whatever you're studying, if you would not be able to work in your industry or a close related occupation, in my view, it is highly unlikely you get your permanent residency through skill migration. So, pardon my French, if you're studying rocket engineering and you are working as a motor mechanic, I rather suggest you to study motor mechanic, work as a motor mechanic. It probably would be much more easier, and you will be much more benefit to get your permanent residency that way. That's the fact of it. Now, if you can, so very critical, choosing your occupation, very important. Now, generally speaking, there are two different segments. So there's higher education where you do bachelor's or master's, or there's wet education where you do trade courses or basically courses which are on level 2, level 3 occupation lists, okay, diploma and all different kind of trades. They are very popular. They are very good. Most of the trade courses on a long to medium term list, and that is the and it is they are so much in demand. It's much more easy to get jobs. So yes, if you think that's where you would be working while you're studying or after you're studying, probably that's what you want to choose, because that's what going to give you the skills, that's what going to give you the work experience, that's going to give you the skill assessment in your occupation, and that's probably going to lead you to your permanent residency. So guys, things which are important are choosing occupation, work experience, very, very critical. Now, if you would not have your work experience, more than likely, now there are occupations where you can have work experience, where you can have your skill assessment without work experience, but generally speaking, I don't think you would be able to get a permanent residency if you would not have a work experience, if you would not be working. Look at in most of the states, every state requirement, they generally want you to be working in your occupation if you want to be selected. Even I'll tell you what, if you are dreaming on 189s, the way it's scored, obviously the people who have the work experience, who are working, they score more points, they're going to score more points than you, they're going to come in the merit list. So the chances of getting permanent residency, if you're not working in your occupation, in my view, are very slim if you want to get it through skilled migration. All right. Of course, skill assessment. Again, skill assessment very critical. Now, this is, guys, this is the time, like, of course, the first 2 years when you start, your generally first minimum requirement is 2 years. Some of you, depending upon what courses you're doing, if you come here for masters, usually it will be 2 years. If you're here for bachelor's, it's 3 years. If you're here on trade courses, generally they're for 2 years, depending what you're doing. But in average, your course would be between 2 to 3 years. But the minimum requirement is, yes, you got to study 2 years. Once you study 2 years, then you have your 2 years of work experience. What I advise, what I suggest to my clients is, guys, try to work in your occupation or try to study the occupation in which you can work. It will make your life so simpler. It will give you so many benefits in terms of getting a permanent residency. Don't be on two boats. And I suggest you start from the day one. Even the work experience while you're studying, if you have a work experience in your occupation, that's going to help you. I'll tell you why. Hypothetically, all right. Now, if you've been working in your industry, even part-time 20 hours, now you got 2 years here, then you got 2 years of, then you got your post-study work visa, which is 485, depending upon whatever you're doing nowadays. You minimum get for 2 years and can be up to 4 years, depending if you're in the regional area or what course or what you're studying. Okay, but in general, it's 2 years. Let's presume that. And so you worked 1 year here, you worked 2 years here, that's 3 years. If you have an employer who's willing to sponsor you 186 visa, that's your go. If you have an employer who's willing to sponsor you 194 visa, because that also needs 3 years of work experience, that's your go. So if I be you, my strategy would be, I would study and work in the same occupation in which occupation I would apply my permanent residency. Doesn't matter what occupation it is. That is the fastest path to get the permanent residency through, if you are a student. And if you guys have a better idea, if you know, if you think there's a better way than this, please write down, give a suggestion, tell about it, and let's have a discussion and give out your thoughts. Now, guys, of course, you can also look into supplementary points. English score, like I don't know what score you got, 6.5, 6, 7 when you came from overseas. You can always work better. You can always study, do PT, IELTS, whatever you need to do. All right, and improve your scores. So that's definitely going to help, because even when all these visas now are on the merit basis, unless and until you are applying for visa surplus like 186 or 194, which is employer sponsored visas, then otherwise they're all on merit basis. And of course you will always have a competition, again depending upon your occupation, if your qualifications and occupation you will apply for, if it suits professionally, then yeah, accounting, engineering or IT, then get extra 5 points. Again, having a partner who can also have a skill assessment, who can also have competent English, which is 6 each, that gives you extra points. So all the supplementary things what you can do to get extra points, that's definitely but again, as I say, the critical thing is skill experience. Study what you can work what you can study. That's the goal. If you understand this, you'll get a permanent residency in Australia. I tell you this today.